User news.
Stay Frosty, the snowman.
Beast mode!
Well, blow me down.
Well, bake my day.
Merry Christmas! Dinner was full!
And then Enzo says some Enzo bullshit.
789 Days of Christmas.
Are we still? Is it still happening?
Happy holidays, dear listeners, and welcome to a very special end of season 1 Christmas, Hanukkah, and Yule holiday spectacular episode of Alphanumeric. I'm one of your hosts, Christopher Siege.
I am another host, NeoCal.
And I'm your other host, AP Snidler.
And this week on Alphanumeric, we are reviewing nothing. We have gone through the first season. We have gone through the first season of Reboot, and we decided that this was just going to be a nice little recap episode of the whole season. It's also the last podcast we're going to be recording for the year. If you're listening to this live with us, we're recording in mid-December of 2020, the year of all years.
Gives all you guys opportunity to catch up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
so-
you're definitely listening to this live. On the edge of your seat.
Yes.
Waiting at bated breath.
Yeah.
But yeah, so this is our end of season 1 recap episode, and we're tying it in with the holiday theme because I'm feeling festive. God damn it!
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So, Merry Christmas, Good Yule, Happy Hanukkah, and joyous whatever else. Welcome to the show.
Spread the Yuletide. How you guys doing today?
I'm doing groovy. Just sitting down and talking into a mic.
Catching that killer surf on the Yuletide, man.
Holy shit!
Wow.
That's
Yeah.
what I'm doing. So
That's-
basically sitting at home in my boxers eating mandarin oranges.
That's the dream right there. That's the dream. Yeah.
That, ladies and gentlemen, is a 2020 Christmas right there.
Yep. That's how it is.
See, the trick is to try to eat the entire box before they get shriveled and moldy. Challenge accepted.
Excuse me.
I got up well, I always get up early, but I slept in a little bit today, but I still got up fairly early and did some laundry. And I'm like, yeah, I'm going to get dressed and be productive and clean the house and do some prepping for the show. And I ended up sitting on the couch wearing nothing but my bathrobe with my clean laundry, I might add.
Yeah.
Sitting beside me on the couch watching Vikings, and I shit you not, it took me 3 hours to fold like one laundry basket full of clothes just because I was feeling so unmotivated.
And has anything changed since then?
I believe it.
I am wearing clothing now, and my laundry is folded. And the 3 episodes of Vikings that I watched have concluded.
Mazel tov!
I wish I had like party. What are those things called? You blow
Party
into
poppers?
them. Yeah,
Oh,
you blow.
kazoos?
Yeah. You blow into them and they make that sound. Whatever. I'll just add
that whistle is like whee.
I think he means those little things that like unravel when you blow in them and they go brrr.
Yeah. That's what I
Oh,
mean.
yes, those. Yes, I know what I mean.
Yeah.
Those thingies.
Yeah, those things like.
I think I recreated the sound pretty accurately.
Yeah, that was not bad.
Good job.
So what are we doing this fine episode?
You get a golden Christmas tree, my friend.
Good.
I have always wanted a golden Christmas tree.
I've had a silver Christmas tree before.
I have too. It's nice. Yeah.
So yeah, Christopher, are we doing anything this episode?
Sorry, I have to
It's pretty
apologize
much.
that I went silent. I was getting text messages from my partner.
You're just gonna let everything just kind of that something didn't fly there.
No, that wasn't like a joke. That wasn't the result of a joke, just like falling flat on its face or anything like is what usually happens when I go silent. But
Yeah.
no, I was getting a text message from my partner. So what we are doing this episode is we are going to be naming off our top 3 and bottom 3 episodes of season 1 of Reboot. We're going to be doing it in a roundtable type format. So basically, how it's going to work is I'm going to be like, Cal, tell me your bottom 3rd episode. And then I'll be like, Aiden, tell me your bottom 3rd episode. And then I will name mine. And then I'll be like, Cal, tell me your top 3rd episode. And so on and so forth. Eventually getting to looping around to each of our bottom ones and top ones.
Sounds good.
Sounds fantastic.
Does that make sense?
Makes sense to me.
Very.
But does it make
very-
dollars?
Uh,
Before we get to that, though, it's Christmas time, folks. What do you guys got going on for Christmas? I know this is a kind of an unusual year, but hopefully we're all getting to spend it with at least some loved ones, you know?
It's true. I live alone, so I won't be doing a whole heck of a lot. I was planning on having a turkey dinner at my place. Well, the last Christmas I'll have in my house because I'm moving, and which would have been lovely, except for all these restrictions that just came on. So I can do a limited amount of celebrating, but I can do what I can do, and that's just the kind of year we've been having lately. Yeah.
Well, Christmas Day is the perfect day to binge watch entire episodes of shows, or perhaps binge listen to entire seasons of podcasts.
Yes.
So Christmas Day, if you don't have a lot going on, and this means you, listeners, what better way to spend your time than to listen to an entire season of podcasts of the three of us discuss a computer-generated cartoon from 1994.
If you're like me, and I know I am, that is what I would be doing.
Right? I'm not wrong here.
Yep. It's just science.
Weird science, perhaps. Cal, what's your Christmas looking like?
My Christmas is trying to buy like homemade decadent, like expensive chocolates before, but like not too early before Christmas, so they don't they stay fresh, but like before places close down. So that's going to be a challenge in of itself.
No kidding.
And finishing this goddamn box of mandarin oranges.
Maybe by Christmas Day you'll be wearing pants.
Maybe it'll be cold enough to warrant pants.
I totally thought you were gonna say like I'm gonna try to buy a PS5.
You know, I kind of have been, but I've only been half-assing it, which
Same.
you know, you got a full asset if you actually want to buy a PS5. You need like those apps installed to like immediately like notify you when they come available. Like those ones that auto refresh a page and then like text you and like add it to your cart and all that stuff. But like,
so what you're saying is you
that's a
got
lot
a
of work.
smart asset.
Yeah, you got a smart asset.
Yeah.
And it'd be nice to have one, but like at the same time, like Gen 1 consoles like the version 1, I mean, are never great.
I was like, are we bringing Transformers into this somehow?
So like even if I have to wait like 1, 2, like whatever months, I guess I could.
Yeah, I'm personally not too worried about it because, like, I mean, I'm almost 36 years old now. I've seen many console launches at this point. I know by March they're going to be everywhere.
Yeah, good point.
Like-
yeah, I'm fine. I can survive till March.
Oh yeah. I'm probably I'm trying to get on the Xbox Series X train, simply so I can actually play Cyberpunk at a decent frame rate.
Yeah.
But Christopher, for anyone listening, Christopher made the most perplexing of decisions when it came to Cyberpunk 2077.
Okay, so I currently have a gaming PC and an Xbox One X. Not a base model Xbox One, fortunately, but I have an Xbox One X, which is the more powerful, like their equivalent to the PS4 Pro, essentially.
Yes.
I decided, instead of buying Cyberpunk 2077 for my gaming PC, which, based on my research, could have run the game at around 54 frames per second at 1440p, which is pretty good. But instead of doing that, I decided to buy it for my Xbox One X because I'm like,
Unsubscribed.
CD Projekt Red was promising free next-gen upgrades for the next console. So I'm like, okay, so if I buy Cyberpunk for my One X sometime next year, I'll get a free Series X version with, like, you know, like 4K 60 ray tracing, all of that
Yeah.
fun stuff, all the bells and whistles.
Yeah,
So I'm like, okay,
for anyone not
that's
listening, like that's what CD Projekt Red said. If you buy it on PS4, then you could digitally like download it for free on the PS5. Like they're just honoring that if you buy it once from them, you can get it on the next gen hardware, and that's what Christopher decided to do.
yes, I wholeheartedly regret that decision. And
oh, sweet summer child, how dare you think that a game released on a console should run?
yeah, especially a game that was announced 8 fucking years ago.
Yeah, it was
Like,
clearly intended to run on PCs and next gen hardware.
Like, and this is something that I've seen a lot of people say in defense of CD Projekt Red on like Reddit and whatnot. They're like, oh, it should just be like it's intended to be a next gen game. It's like, no, it isn't. There's no next gen version available. It is a current gen game that was announced when the PS3 and 360 were still like the current gen. This game was announced in 2012, for God's sake.
Skyrim came out 2011.
And now that thing runs on refrigerators, so
yeah.
But yeah, I regret that decision, and I at the recommendation, the public recommendation of CD Projekt Red, I asked Microsoft for a refund, and my refund was denied. But now today, Microsoft is saying we're giving refunds to everyone. But because I've already asked for a refund and it's been denied, I'm not eligible for a refund.
Wow.
I can't even like resubmit a refund request. Like there's no way to do it. I even tried calling Microsoft, and their phone help, like their 1-800 number is just like, please refer to help.xbox.com. Goodbye, and they hang up on you.
Get fucked.
Yeah. So
wow.
yeah. So I'm kind of screwed on that front.
That'll
Merry
teach ya.
Christmas, folks.
I have nothing to add to this conversation.
That's fair. I'd be glad that you don't, honestly.
Yeah.
So my plans for Christmas. Typically, my partner goes over to the mainland to visit family, and I usually sometimes I go with her, but a lot of the time I'll stay over here either by myself or I'll hang out with another friend or two who doesn't have anyone that they can or want to spend time with on Christmas.
Christopher extends the festive spirit to his lonesome friends that have nobody else.
Yes, actually.
Yeah.
I do.
Yeah.
But this year, because of things being the way they are, my partner is going to be here, so I figure it's going to buy a ham and make a nice Christmas dinner. And I just read today that season 9 of Letterkenny is debuting on Christmas Day, so
That's true. Yeah.
my entertainment for the day is set.
Awesome.
So I'm looking forward to that. Listeners, if you've never seen Letterkenny, it's one of the funniest Canadian shows in history.
It's delivered completely deadpan.
Yeah.
All of it's just machine gun jokes. So it's very dialogue heavy.
It's farmer talk. It is typical.
It's also extremely witty though, and there's a
Yeah.
lot of wordplay that goes on in it. So if you like wordplay based humor, it's the show for you. In the States, because I know that's where most of our listeners are. In the US, it's available on Hulu, so check it out. I think it's debuting in season 9 is debuting on Hulu on the 26th down there, which is what we call Boxing Day.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
But anyway,
go check out Letterkenny.
Reboot.
Yeah, on to
We're doing a
Reboot.
reboot.
Is another Canadian show.
Yes, it is.
It's come out some time ago.
Yeah.
It may come back.
It tried to, but we'll talk about that later.
Yes.
I thought you were going to say, let's hope. And I was about to be like,
I was going to say that. And then I realized, I was like, hang on a sec. No.
Maybe let's not.
No, let's not hope. Not hope a damn thing.
Listeners, one day, sometime next year, I will talk about Reboot the Guardian Code on one episode of the show.
Okay.
Oh, you guys don't have to watch. I intend to binge all 20 episodes of that over the course of a week. And
there were 20 episodes of that?
Yep.
Blimey.
I think there were only 42 episodes of Reboot, the original Reboot series as a whole. So,
well, I'll binge it and then do that show with you, if you like. Now I'm just curious.
I will read a synopsis of each episode and do it with you guys.
Okay.
Okay.
Sounds good.
Actually, since it's we'll figure that out later. But since it's 20 episodes, maybe we'll take a couple of weeks to binge it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just kind of go over the whole thing.
No, you watch it over the holidays.
No.
God damn it.
Oh, there you go. Watch that on Christmas Day.
Jesus. No.
That'll
No,
ruin
we're
your
trying
holidays.
to convince people not to kill themselves.
That is not alphanumeric.
It's not.
Yes, 2020 is not the Christmas to spend watching Reboot the Guardian Code.
Although it would
No.
fit.
That's
Reboot the Guardian Code is the 2020 of reboot seasons.
This is the 20. So it's like watching Reboot the Guardian Code, right? But
Yep.
not willingly, as if your arms are strapped down like that scene from A Clockwork Orange, and your eyes are being propped
Eyes are
open, and
held
somebody's
open.
putting drops in them,
Blimey.
and you're just like, please no.
Kill me.
Like the
Kill
9/11
me.
of
Kill
2020.
me.
Yeah.
The 9/11 of 2020.
I was
Jesus
waiting for
Christ.
someone to hear that.
Oh, that's dark.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Speaking of numbers, why don't we get started counting down our bottom 3 and top 3 episodes of season 1 of Reboot?
Yeah. Christopher. Let's start with you. We'll mix it up each round.
No, I wanna go in the same order each way, and I was thinking, Cal, we'll start with you, then we'll go with Aiden, and then I'll go.
All right, we'll start with me. Dun dun dun. All right, so again, anyone listening, we're starting with our we have top 3 best and top 3 worst, and this is my number 3 of the worst. Episode 2, Racing the Clock. Now,
that is in my bottom 3 as well.
Possibly unexpected for me, since that also introduces hexadecimal. And yep. I really enjoy hexadecimal, the way she looks, the way she talks, the way she moves. But it's bad. It's bad.
Agreed.
The whole simple fact that they reference, oh, it's a bomb at the very beginning, but then they're perplexed when it's actually a bomb, is so weird. And the fact that single episode had different writers that didn't talk about what they were doing. Well, it's so weird.
And the fact that they even Bob even goes through with it at all. It's okay, we know this is a bomb. Why don't we just go and throw it into a tear or something?
Or just drop it on the ground, because it's stuck on his face initially.
Yeah.
Right? As he's weird, creepy, hovering, leaving what's hexadecimal's district called? Lost Angles.
Lost Angles, yeah.
As he's leaving Lost Angles through telekinesis or something hexadecimal did to him. He pulls the mask off, and then instead of just being glitch, delete, or something, he just holds on to it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then it enters a game, and it's attached to his car. So
the games in this show can be fun, but the game in that episode just went on way too fucking long.
Like any Grand Prix racing game.
Yeah, I was just gonna mention for listeners, if you don't remember, the game in that episode was a Grand Prix racing game.
It tries to jazz it up by being like Diddy Kong Racing. There's a hover cart and then there's a plane part.
Yeah, and then there's an F-Zero part. Racing.
Yeah, because there's hovercraft and planes in Diddy Kong Racing as well as carts. But that whole what is it? Dot and Enzo are in the game too, and they're trying to warn Bob, and he's just being really daft. They're like, your car, it's a bomb. Yeah, no. And he's like, yeah, my car is the bomb.
I know, right?
I have to win the game. But
you slow down and this bus will explode.
You can't go under 50. Whoa. Wake up, samurai. There's a city to burn.
Pop quiz, hotshot.
And then you just yell and shoot your gun up in the air. Anyways, but to give it a point, hexadecimal's introduction is exactly how a villain should be introduced. Whereas in the previous episode, The Tear, it did a really bad job of building up to introducing Megabyte. I think he's introduced in a vid window. So,
yes.
Oh, yeah.
It's the good part of the episode. It actually does one of the villains justice. Anyways,
yeah, he's not even introduced in a vid window in an isolation shot. It's I think Dot and Enzo are also in frame or something.
Bob just crashed Hack and Slash, and he just pops up talking to Bob. Yeah, and we're like, who's this? Why do we care? Anyways, I'm gonna move on. That's that. Unless anyone has anything to add. Oh, I suppose it's really interesting because we get to see a game crash.
Yes.
So I'll give it that point. We get to see a game crash and what that means. It's dangerous for the sprites and the binomes involved in the game.
Although I'm going to deduct points because that never comes up again.
Yeah, it's interesting to think, like, you can crash a game. Like, here's a thought experiment. You can crash a game if you know you're going to lose, and then just try to ride out instead of getting sucked into the tear, just ride it out. Because remember, as the game collapses, they just end up back in mainframe and they fall on the ground.
Right, yeah.
But like you said, that never comes up again. But it's interesting to think of. You could purposely crash a game if you know you're going to lose to avoid being nullified.
Mm.
Kind of cool to think about. Yeah, we never talked about it before. But like you said, that never comes up again, so...
Yeah, never at any point. Certainly not in season 1 anyway, and I don't remember it ever coming up in any in an episode in any subsequent season, so I'm deducting points from the episode for that reason.
Anyone have anything else to add, or shall we move on?
Yeah, let's move on. Snidler, what is your bottom third episode?
Oh my. It got me thinking. Well, my bottom third episode, my least of all favorite episode. I'm gonna.
No. This is your third. So number 1 is your very least favorite.
Yeah.
Okay,
right?
that's kind of
this
what
is your
meant.
third. Oh, okay. So
Okay,
sorry, this is your third least favorite, which is number 1 is your most hated.
Oh, okay, never mind then. Okay,
yeah,
that is
yeah.
Okay, yeah,
like a countdown.
All right. I'm gonna say the Tiff was one of my least favorite episodes. One of my least favorite episodes.
It's in my dishonorable mentions.
Yeah,
we do get to see your favorite binome.
That is true. The makeup lady binome was in there.
The makeup lady binome.
But
yeah.
unfortunately, it's not enough to save it. Not enough to bounce back from this. Glitch is a far too useful tool. If it wasn't for Glitch, they would have lost the game. That's one of the holes that I can see.
What's the game in that one again?
It's Starship Alcatraz.
Right.
That one where
right.
like the,
Judge Dredd versus the Riddler.
That's it.
Yeah, Dot looked rad in it.
Oh yeah.
So did Bob.
Cool costumes, cool guns, cool everything, except just the storyline seemed a little
dumb game. Yeah.
So that's on my list.
Also, the conflict is dumb.
Yeah,
it is. It's
and
very
Enzo's
forced.
Plan is dumb.
It could have been avoided. And it's just kind of childishly.
A comedy
bickering.
of errors? Is that what it's called, Christopher? Like when people just continuously misunderstand each other, and a whole episode is around it. I don't like that trope. Whatever it's called, I don't like the trope.
Yeah, it's very their conflict is very stilted and awkward and comes just completely out of nowhere, and it's very clear that it's only happening to drive the plot of the episode forward.
Yeah.
Yes, they butt heads for inexplicable reason.
Yes, if I had a bottom 5, like this would probably be number 4.
Yeah. Go ahead.
To make Enzo feel like he had to put himself at the data dump, I think was just a waste of time and just incredibly. I think it was a stupid thing to do because clearly Bob and Dot didn't give a lick about that situation, and they just kind of started fighting again while Enzo was basically about to die.
If Frisket wasn't there, he would actually just die.
Yeah, that's it. The dog.
So
the dog
he could have
saved
pretended
the day.
to tie himself up, but instead he's like, tie it tighter,
tighter.
Make sure I can't move.
Like really, like make sure it looks like you kidnapped me, but actually do it. You know,
that's weird to me.
Yeah.
Not like fake handcuffs or just hands behind the back, like actually like tied down to the conveyor belt. Anyways.
Yeah.
Yeah, the more we talk about it, the more. Yeah.
Although Enzo could have just rolled himself off the conveyor belt,
right?
Because he was tied up, but he wasn't tied to the conveyor belt.
Exactly. Okay.
There was too much there.
Too much, man.
and Enzo, grow up.
The one good part, I guess, is like the cast and staff of his like little like we get to see the director binom,
yeah,
right? We get
and
to
the
see
card-
so
the,
one of
the
us
cardboard cutout
one of
of
us saw
Megabyte.
one of us saw that the little viral like glowing symbol on the binoms was actually different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was like
Also,
a goofy face.
Mike the TV
Googly
is just
eyes.
randomly introduced in this episode.
Oh, is that the episode?
Yeah, he just shows up. He's just in Bob's apartment.
Wait, what?
Yeah.
When was this?
Yeah, he kicks him down the
yes, that's
trash,
right.
the garbage chute. Yeah.
Yeah. I actually forgot about that, actually. Because that funny little montage where it looks like he's just chilling.
Yeah, and that is like the only thing that I actually like about that episode is the montage of Bob being bored in his apartment.
I got so much to do.
Yeah.
So better get started.
Straight up just passed out on the couch.
Yeah. Anyways, yeah. Moving on, Christopher, your number 3 least favorite episode.
So my bottom third episode is Identity Crisis Part 1.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that's on there.
Yeah. So first off,
it has good parts, but it's not. Yeah, go ahead.
I was torn about this one, but ultimately, two things really kind of ruined the episode for me. One, it's very obvious that Cyrus is a douchebag. Like very, very, very obvious.
Yeah.
And like I get it, it's a kid's show, but it's just the characters in this world should be able to pick up on the fact that Cyrus is a bad guy. It's like, random new character is introduced who has like swoopy hair with like a streak in it and a fucking soul patch, and he has this kind of like,
and he talks like this.
He talks like this.
And
he has got a green icon too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's so obvious that he's not to be trusted, and yet
even straight up like pockets the data pad at one point.
Yeah.
And everyone's like panicking, and he's like, "If I was a bad guy, you would have been screwed by now. Please look after these with your life." And Dot is like, Dot? "I will look after it with my life." And I'm like, well, shouldn't you have already been looking after it? How was he even able to? Anyways, yeah.
It's all like, woo! Good thing I got that practice run for as far as guarding this thing with my life goes.
Yeah.
Your life isn't much then.
Yeah. Also, Dot like weirdly teleporting from the sewer.
Oh yeah.
To get the hover tank.
Yeah.
She goes from being in the sewer, like going up to the manhole cover in the matter of like a split second.
She arrives with a hover tank and she's like, "Get in," and I'm like, was something cut from the episode? Something pretty important? Yeah.
Yeah, but like and like even if a scene was missing there, like it still doesn't make any sense.
Why would Bob, instead of Dot, be hiding, waiting for Dot to, and then he seems surprised when it's her in the tank? I
would be too.
Yeah, and the fact that Dot is having all these visions that like are the result of, we find out in part 2 of that episode, are the result of these like weird like temple things that Fong put on her.
Some sort of device that lets you see alternative like realities, but he puts it on her in part 2 inside of a I'll save it. I don't talk about number 2.
Yeah. Well, I'll be honest, that's on my worst. Yeah, so I'm glad we're talking about it now. I thought it was something that he was like operating remotely. And yeah, that was weird.
Yeah.
And not even mentioning the part about how Bob does some like hardcore acrobatics and kicks off that manhole cover.
Oh, yeah, that was an interesting
right. Yeah.
I wish I
any
could do that.
good part of that? Yeah, exactly. You know what? I should have added that to my list, but it's locked. It's locked.
I like the look of like alternate future mainframe. So
Yeah.
I'll give that a plus.
Yeah,
Never
and I
friend.
like United Nations dot outfit, like her like business outfit with the glasses, and Bob
and
had
Bob-
those aves.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Bob with his aviators. Yeah.
But other than that, yeah.
Yeah. Well,
yeah.
anyway, that was my bottom number 3. So
So we're done our bottom threes. So let's move on to our third favorite.
Cal.
Should we go in the same order? Yeah.
Yeah. Let's do
All
it.
right. My third favorite is actually Wizards, Warriors, and a word from our sponsor.
Oh.
Didn't make my list.
It almost didn't, but I grew up with D&D, and there's so much interesting encounters in this. It pushed a couple others down, and it took my number 3 spot. Again, rewatching it, it's flawed, but like little things like their outfits, the level design, how they were checking their maps, their little spells, the simple fact that like when they tried to grab each other's equipment, it like phased through their hands.
Right.
The very careful balancing of making Mike the TV annoying to the characters but entertaining to the viewer.
Yes.
Mm.
And Bob not being the taking the spotlight. It's actually kind of equally distributed among all of them. And that's very rare for the show. Like all of them helped in different ways, and I like that.
Mm-hmm.
Right. I like the
very weird
transition
level design.
screens.
The transition screens are very gauntlet-like. Very weird game design, like beating the. I actually wanted to mention this while we reviewed it, but I didn't. Beating the other. Like what they have to do is get to level like 99 before, or 66, right? Yeah, before the user.
69.
69.
Nice. Nice. Sorry, I couldn't resist.
And one or both of you, we also reviewed it with Alucard.
Yes.
And
yeah, shout out.
Yeah, and it was like, oh yeah, I'd totally play that game. Having to race? No, you wouldn't. And here's why. Imagine being 14 hours into an RPG and you just get a game over screen and it says, NPCs you've never met have reached level 66. That is why you would not play that game. You wouldn't like to enjoy losing at a random moment because another group like somehow got ahead that you've never met, somehow got ahead of you and like beat you to the chalice chamber.
Yeah, you didn't even know you were playing against a certain group. That seems like a bit of a downer.
It's not good game design. That is incredibly bad game design.
It's good for the show, not good in real life.
It's good for that show, making it kind of like a competition, but like they didn't spawn in as NPCs like they usually do. They spawned in as like another player group.
Yeah, which is kind of weird. Yeah.
I don't think the show's ever really kind of done that. So that's why it was weird to me. It was like they were like another player playing the game simultaneously.
Right. It made it much less like a traditional RPG, like a dungeon crawler, and more like a PvP arena type game.
Like a race? Yeah. Except instead of them encountering each other and fighting, they just like race to get to the challenge. Anyways, it's funny. I said that's my number 3 favorite, and I'm doing nothing but complaining.
I was just going to point that out, actually.
But there's good things and there's bad things about every episode, and the lessons are good. The characters are good. All the monsters are good. The carrot warriors, the skeletons, abracadabra, whatchamacadabra call it. Like just little things like that. There's so much in it that's why I was like, you know what? as much as I have problems with the parts of it, it's still decent. It's still got some good moments. The shadow versions of them, like what the fuck? Yeah. So it's up there. Or
Yeah.
maybe that's a testament to season 1 that I complain that much about one of my favorite episodes. But yeah, let's move onwards to Snidler. What's your third favorite episode?
The third favorite episode? My third favorite episode is really only because that's the episode we meet Mouse finally. And
Ooh.
yeah.
So you're talking about the Great Brain Robbery,
Yeah.
correct? Yeah.
Yes.
You cut out when you said when you presumably said the episode title. So just to make things clear.
Sorry.
I think he just paused for dramatic intent. Yeah, it's the Great Brain Robbery. May or may not end up on one of our actually worst episodes.
Sorry. I was basing that purely on the fact that Mouse shows up for the
you
first
weren't
time.
there for that.
Yeah, you weren't there for that episode. I got
was not
mighty
there for that
thirsty.
Yeah.
Seeing
He was
Mouse.
thirsty enough for both of you.
Yeah, much thirstier than I was expecting to be honest.
Much thirstier, but not as cringy as the episode where Hexadecimal came in and I talked about her. That was hard. That's hard to go back and listen to.
Yeah.
Let me tell you.
So listeners, go back and listen to it.
Yeah.
And I came around. It's basically just me talking about my kinks for 15 minutes before Christopher goes. Anyways,
Bloody hell.
I came around. I was like, you know what? I like that she has sharp canines. I like her weird, like little face design. I like her biceps. Like I like a chick that looks like she can go and take a round or two with you in the ring.
Fit. She's fit.
Yeah, she's.
Oh,
she's
she is
fit
more
thick.
than fit.
Oh, she's yeah. They sexed her up real nice on that show.
But holy hell,
Yeah.
is that episode bad? The episode.
It's not great.
I liked it because Slash and how there's the bumbling fools. Like
Christopher and I ripped apart like so many plot holes to that thing. Especially like, okay, so straight up, Mouse, her design is good, her accent is good. The fact that they actually have like a history, Bob and Mouse together, all of that's like really great. But if you recall, Aiden, at the very end, as Megabyte gets control of Enzo, not only does he go to the core of the principal office, Enzo for some reason has access to it. He puts his palm on Reader.
Yeah.
And it grants him access to it. And Christopher and I were like, what?
That is interesting.
Why does a 10-year-old have access to like the core of mainframe that could like destroy everyone?
Right.
Yeah. And if Fong only has access to it, why does he only have 3 fingers?
Holy shit, we never even thought about that.
Yeah.
The palm reader had 5.
I just like Mouse, so I put that on one of my favorite episodes because like that's Mouse.
Also seeing Jealous Dot was
Jealous Dot was kind of funny too.
So
it was funny in that like kind of sitcom kind of way.
Yeah. Friends. Not great but not horrible.
Yeah.
No.
But to race along, Christopher, your third favorite?
This might shock you, you guys, but my number 3 favorite is one that I know for a fact Cal was not a particular fan of. My number 3 favorite is Enzo the Smart.
Oh, really?
Tell us why.
I knew there were. I knew there was going to be a choice. This was going to be a choice on here that I would have to kind of justify.
That doesn't make either of my lists. So I want to hear this. Yeah.
It didn't make either of mine, but continue, or did it?
Or did it? Ho ho. What?
Mystery.
So do tell us why Enzo
This is my number 3 favorite episode because I have a soft spot for incredibly stupid characters being played up for comedy.
Yeah.
All right.
Like my listeners, anyone out there who is familiar with Red versus Blue, my favorite character on
Oh my
that
God.
show is not Church, Caboose.
Mm,
Because I
okay.
love how like just over the top, like just mind-bogglingly stupid he is. And like this is an entire episode of seeing these characters just being so outrageously dumb that they like can barely function as individuals, and it's played up for laughs to great effect.
To give you some credit, like Mike the TV's fake ad reads are pretty good, and there are moments in the background. We probably paused and discussed that episode scene per scene more so than any other. Like being like, "Oh guys, check out this mark." Like everyone's like Dot is T-Rex arming it
Right.
in the back. Yeah.
There's a lot of like physical comedy going on in that episode.
Yeah.
I also really appreciated the fact that after Mainframe's clock speed had been slowed down, like not only did the characters get slower and more stupid, but they actually their color depth went down.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, like the Resolute, like it went 16-bit.
Yeah, it was an interesting visual touch.
Yeah.
And it kind of forced Enzo, who was a character who's all like, man, I can do this, let me do this. This was a situation where he actually didn't want to.
Yeah.
And was kind of forced through his own shenanigans, kind of forced to actually pick himself up and solve a problem.
That's true. No one fixed it for him. Okay, I'll give you that. Yeah. That showed some character growth because he had to fix the problem himself instead of him being like, Bob, Dot, help me. I'm Scorponok for some reason. Hey man, he's a fucking scientist. So yeah, okay, I can give you that. It's funny. The game is funny. The game is dumb, as we have discussed at length on that episode. Like only the last level matters.
Yeah.
But
well, the game is basically just Summer Games, which was an old PC game from like the late 80s.
Mixed with like the last yeah, exactly. So all of them are very standard Olympic games, and then the last level is like fucking wacky, like American Gladiator / MXR. Sorry, not MXR. Fuck, what was it called?
MXC.
MXC, yeah. MXC, like
yeah. What was the final round of American Gladiators called? The Gauntlet? Was it Gauntlet or the Eliminator?
Something like that.
It's something like that, yeah.
Yeah. I know those two. I know that.
Yeah.
And they won by cheating, which is nice.
Yeah.
Shouldn't that have crashed the game? Anyways, moving. Shall we move on?
Yeah, that was my number 3.
Yeah. So it's my second. So my second to least favorite episode.
Yeah.
It is the TIFF.
Nice.
Which we talked about earlier.
Yeah.
Yes, we did. And Frisket literally stopping Enzo from dying. And Bob and Dot like being like, "Oh, it's so nice that the other person apologized first. I'm willing to make good, but I will never apologize first. Fuck you." Like they're willing to say sorry, but not willing to admit that they're wrong. And it's like, that's man, grow up.
Yeah.
I'm not 20 anymore. I ain't got time for that. That's a very even kids don't do that. Like kids kind of like get in arguments and then the next day they want to ride bikes. But like 16 to 25, like a minor disagreement is like friendship breaking, and it's just kind of cringy to watch that play out.
I don't
You know?
know.
Yeah.
Arguing with my ex-wife was kind of like that.
And when did you guys get married? 16 to 25?
No.
Well,
No,
we all mature at different rates, you see. And
how old was I? I was 28, and she was
28.
26. Yeah.
Yes, a chapter in our lives we best put behind us.
A tale as old as time. Cheers.
A tale I don't want you to read to you before bedtime, because you'll have nightmares. Yes.
A tale as old as time that we won't sing a song about. No.
No, there's no joy here. Anyways, that's it. What good thing about the TIFF? What can anyone help me out here?
It looked cool. The game.
Oh, I liked Dot. Yeah, the game looked cool. But the Dot, when she's like, "Well, I'm gonna go help my brother," and Bob just shows up with himself and Glitch, but Dot has like a hard hat with a light.
That's right.
She's got like a ladle and a toilet plunger, like ready for anything.
Right, yeah.
She's going
Ready for
camping.
literally anything.
Yeah.
Going camping.
And other it's weird that he would put himself on a real like machine that deletes things. Like, what the fuck? Anyways,
Indeed.
shall we move on to Snidler's second least favorite episode?
Second least favorite, like the worst of the worst.
No, number 2. So number 1 is your like least favorite. This is the next one. I know what. That's why we kept it to 3. 5 was too much. I was like, Snidler's with us, Christopher.
My cat's trying to get into the room here.
You tell him to come on in and give him some pets.
Scratching at the door.
Tell him to come on in and put a mic in front of his face.
Okay. The second one on my list is Belly of the Beast.
In the Belly of the Beast.
That is also on my list.
Yep. Figured it might be. That was a very interesting episode.
Give us a point of why you don't.
A point of why I do not like it.
Yeah. Like, what's your
biggest
biggest gripe with it? Is it just the dog farting the whole episode?
Well, there's a lot of poo jokes. Yeah. It just seems like it's a filler episode. There's a lot of help me out here.
I'll wait.
There's a lot that happens in this episode.
I'm gonna help
you. Sorry, what?
I'm gonna wait to point out the things I didn't like.
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm gonna table the discussion on In the Belly of the Beast for now.
There's a fair amount in this episode that didn't really
Yeah. For instance, the episode is almost nonsensical, and if you don't watch it, you don't actually lose anything from what the reboot experience.
Yeah.
There's some cool parts with Mega Breath, like when he's running on all fours. I guess that's cool.
Yeah, there are some cool scenes and everything.
Viral binomes, like goofing around. Yeah.
Those little buffoons, that are being defeated single-handedly by not single-handedly, but by a boy and his dog.
Mostly the dog,
basically.
But...
and
mostly
the
dog, yeah.
An 8-foot blow-up boat.
Hey man, that boat's seen some shit.
Yeah, apparently. Apparently it's bomb-proof.
Well, yeah.
The dog fired.
Remember, it was a like a BSNP like launcher.
Yeah.
So it made them explosion proof. Yeah.
Yeah. That's
that
happened. It was kind of one of those. See, I'm having the hardest time piecing this one.
You know what? I don't think you have to worry about it too long, because we're actually going to go on to Christopher's.
That sounds great.
number 2.
All right.
My number 2 is an episode that we brought up earlier, Racing the Clock.
Ah,
Bum,
yes.
bum. So you disliked it slightly more than me.
Yep.
Yeah, Christopher was not having this one.
Yeah, so much so that I actually, this was an episode of the podcast that you weren't part of, Snidler, but this was, I was having a really hard time even talking about the episode because I was so disinterested in it.
He was like, anyways, and he'd jump like 10 minutes ahead and start talking, and I'd be like, hold on. Yeah, it's, you know what? And it kind of gets worse when they enter the game, not better.
Yeah. It's a very uninteresting game. As I mentioned earlier, it's a very uninteresting game that drags on too long. The whole plan is stupid. Like, it's like, okay, obviously it's a bomb. So we're not gonna let Enzo deliver it. But
it has a number on the front counting down, and Bob does not know it's a bomb.
Yeah, it's...
But he says it's a bomb earlier. Anyways.
Yeah. We already talked about it at length. I don't think we need to dwell on that one.
It's kind of the same way I feel about the one I just brought up, the Belly of the Beast. It was one of those for me.
Yeah. So anyways, on to the good. My second favorite episode.
Nice.
Is the Crimson Binome.
Hey, that's my second too.
Oh, then we'll both talk about it.
Ha Well, blow me down.
Didn't make my list, gentlemen.
What?
You son of a bitch. I said, I'm coming over there.
Well, he'll be over there. I'm far away.
Like the T-1000. Just straight to Christopher's.
All right, well, I'll see you in about, 2 hours.
Yeah.
It was a really, really, really hard cut, but it, I just... it's only 3, so I couldn't.
Yeah, exactly.
Couldn't do it.
And well, that makes more variance between our lists too, right? The Crimson Binome. Snidler and I have that as our second favorite.
Yeah.
It is one of my favorites because even though I'm like, okay, they're oddly, as I get older, I appreciate family movies more. Do you know what I mean? Like the Santa Claus or geez, well, I don't know why I'm stuck on that, but a lot of things as I get older, I appreciate family movies more, and how it's very wholesome. They're pirates, right? But when they attack people or shoot people, they just end up in a frozen energon cube.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
And then after a few minutes, they just pop out of it.
Yeah.
And when they get to the end and they're all dueling, and then there's that banter back and forth between Dot and Gavin.
Yeah.
And they decide that it's actually profitable and for him, because he doesn't have to fight for it, he just needs to go back and forth. They end up becoming business partners between systems.
Yeah.
And it's interesting because then it's oh, wait a second. The Crimson Binome, sorry, what was the ship called again? The Minnow?
The Saucy Mare.
The Saucy Mare, yeah. We joked about the yacht being the SS Minnow.
Yeah.
That implies that he actually visits different systems, which is interesting in of itself.
Yeah.
So the ending is cool.
Yeah.
The characters are cool. Bob's in prison. It vaguely talks about Mouse. Mr. Christopher is in the episode. Princess Bula. It's just it feels like there could be a few side episodes with just the Crimson Binome and his crew.
Yeah.
And I don't know, the whole thing was just kind of nice. Not the best episode, but from beginning to end, it didn't skip any beats. It was nice. Bob being stupid and repairing his car, and he turns around to sing into his wrench, and he turns around and his entire car is gone, despite the fact he lives in a penthouse suite on top of a high rise.
Yep.
His whole car is just gone. It's
Yep.
little things like that where I was like, it's really hard not to like, unless you're a soulless husk like Christopher.
Wow.
Yep.
Wow.
He just agrees.
Husk.
I will say, I think, somewhat ironically, despite the technical problems that we had during that recording, I think that's actually my favorite episode of this podcast that we've done, and I think it might just be because of all the like positive energy that you two brought talking about the episode.
Yeah.
Doing the impressions and the joke. Yeah. You know what? Maybe that might be painting why it's so high on my list, is because like talking about it and doing the jokes and the impressions, and there's so many like inside jokes.
Yeah.
That we liked to talk about. It was fun.
Yeah.
So maybe I'm biased because the actual podcast episode was fun. But anyways, that's both Snidler and NeoCal's number 2 favorite. Should we just move to Christopher's second favorite?
Sure, yeah.
Unless Snidler, do you have anything you wanted to add that I missed?
No, actually covered all the points. I mean, the only other thing I would mention is watching all the pirate talk and all that.
Oh, that's fun. Yeah.
Yeah.
The weird
Blow
grudge.
me down.
Well,
The
blow
weird-
me down.
The weird grudge between Gavin and dogs. That
Right.
Yeah.
Which is the thing that we still like keep mentioning.
Bad
Tis.
dog.
Left your
Very
friends
bad dog.
unguarded. Bad boy. Bad boy. Yeah.
Dirty, filthy, disgusting boy.
You mangy cur. Okay.
Yeah. But yeah, sorry. Ooh, the smash. Yeah, there's lots to like about it. Mongo.
Princess Mongo,
Us
yeah.
calling her, yeah.
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 Guardian. Yeah.
Yeah, not didn't make my top 3, but
Lots of
as I
fun.
mentioned, probably the most fun that I've had
In minutes.
in minutes. Indeed.
In minutes.
I haven't had this fun. Okay, I'm done.
I haven't had this much fun in seconds, maybe minutes. Anyways, sorry, Christopher, your second favorite. Let's move onward.
This is so fun to talk about.
It is,
Alright.
yeah.
All right.
My number 2 favorite is Medusa Bug.
Oof.
That that was one of them that was really fighting me
Yeah.
on my bottom. Sorry, go on.
That episode conveys like really like surprisingly well for a kids show from the 90s. It conveys just like a sense of horror of like this kind of unknown presence just spreading around you and just taking everything out one by one.
Yeah.
As it slowly creeps toward you. It's actually kind of an interesting
Feelings of isolation.
Yeah, it's actually kind of an interesting watch in 2020.
Christopher, I think it was just you
Yes.
and I. I'm not sure if Snidler was there for that one.
He left about halfway through.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
right. Yeah.
Yeah.
But one of the themes that we talked about was this is a scary episode as an adult, but as a kid, it's a throwaway episode.
Yeah.
Like you're like, oh, whatever. It's kind of boring. There's not even a game in it.
Oh, which the Medusa bug?
Yeah.
Oh, it
Yeah.
terrified me as a kid.
Oh, it did.
Yeah.
As a kid, I was like, oh, boring. There's no game.
I was just like, what is this thing? The point of view of the bug just scouring the entire town, turning everything to stone.
It's
yeah.
a good pick.
That feeling of despair, like not even the shield from getting into the principal office,
And then just
Yeah.
like how harrowing it is for Bob when he finds out that he is immune.
Yeah.
Remember, he was frozen mid-scream, And
Yeah.
when we cut back from a commercial, we hear like, what a weird that's kind of one of the most impactful moments on the show, I would actually argue. His
Yeah.
scream like echoes, and like the stone like covering everything like bursts off of him.
Yeah.
Like he breaks free from his own like sheer will because he's not from Mainframe, right? He's
Yeah.
a guardian.
I
And
thought that was
like,
super cool.
existential like agony as he's screaming, that is some shit.
And
That's
like
the cat just the
So
cat
my cat loves this episode.
and like the shots of the various binomes and sprites just being like just
Frozen in terror.
like frozen in terror, like
Yeah.
Dot's like trying to help like the zero binome with the baby, and they're
Oh.
like, yeah, it's really, really harrowing. And the existential dread, like you mentioned, of
Yeah.
Bob knowing that he is like truly alone, and probably, I mean, obviously, like he ended up like figuring things out, but like at that moment, it's like, oh, he's destined to just be alone in Mainframe.
Yeah, and what just adds a little cherry on the top of why that episode is good and scary. By the way, Christopher and I talked about how the lighting and the camera angles as he interacts with Hexadecimal again like accentuate like how weird and scary and sensual and like insane of a villain she is.
Yeah.
Doesn't she just freeze him in the air? And there's a lot of shit with their interaction. There's a lot to unpack.
Yeah, and watching her like dealing with Scuzzy and just like yelling at him, being like, "Oh, are you pleased with everything?" And like he's frozen, so he can't respond. And she's like, "Answer me," or something like that.
Yeah.
She flips out on him and then just gets really sad and like hangs her head and then just sends him away.
Yeah, actually, I'm not changing any of the list, but that one might actually be above Wizards, Warriors, and Sponsors for me, now that I'm rethinking it. But
it's a weirdly honest depiction of someone with emotional problems.
Yeah, and I already said like the cherry on top, but like another one is there's kind of a time limit, because a very serial killer thing to do, mind you, is she has a whole bunch of binomes and sprites like suspended in the air like trophies around her, and when Bob gets there, one by one they start like disintegrating, like they're dead, they're gone, they're deleted.
Yeah.
So like it's not like, oh, it might take a year or two, but he'll change everything back. No, everything will become deleted if he doesn't do something.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And that like time frames and feeling under pressure is something in games that always like kind of like added anxiety or fear to me. Like when you're being chased by something or you have a time frame.
Yeah, it creates suspense. Ticking clock.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, good choice.
That's my number 2. Sorry. Snidler, did you have something to add?
Yeah, I was gonna say the one thing I didn't like about that episode, which is why it made neither of my lists, was how quickly it all got fixed. And Bob was able to change her mind in about 10 seconds.
True,
because she's got him, and then he goes, oh, I like this. And it's like, what? Hold on, what you do?
Nice and quiet.
And then goes, oh yeah, it's just peace and quiet. It's predictable. It's not chaotic like she really is. And then she just snaps her fingers, and it's all gone.
Well,
and I was like, well,
and that's to attest to what Christopher said. People with disorders that are emotionally slingshots, right?
Yep.
Or pendulums, let's say. That's kind of what it's like. Have you ever been like really mad at somebody and you're like, I'm not going to apologize, I'm going to stay mad at them for like days, and then you like talk to them and you're like, oh, you know what? Yeah, it's nothing, and then you're immediately like feel better about it.
Yeah.
That's realistic, and I kind of came to the conclusion, maybe not enough to save everyone, but she probably would have done that on her own, just not so quickly.
Yeah. Okay. When you put it like that way, I guess.
Yeah, it might have been
Yeah.
like a day or two, but she probably would have been like bored and snapped her fingers.
Yeah. Huh. Oh, I never really thought about it like that. Okay.
Yeah.
But for me, it was kind of like, oh, the episode has to end, and done.
It felt like changing back was inevitable, and he
Yeah.
just greased the wheels. Bob just greased the wheels. You know?
Gotcha.
Got to put that
Okay.
genie back in the bottle eventually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You got to rub it the right way.
Jeez, here we go.
All right. So what are we on? Are we on our most hated episode?
I believe so. Yes.
Yes, we are. Mine is In the Belly of the Beast. I can only take so much fart jokes in one episode.
That is also my number one. So
All right.
That only-
Christopher, how about a whole episode revolving around a dog burping and farting? That sounds great, doesn't it?
oh yes, an episode that is completely inconsequential to anything else at all that occurs throughout the rest of the season, that involves a dog swallowing something and essentially getting food poisoning and burping and farting and shitting everywhere.
Yeah.
But don't worry, he'll pass it naturally. And the greatest part is, we don't even really know why Megabyte wants this fucking thing.
Nope.
We never
Yeah.
found out anything useful.
So remember, find out what you want to do with the episode, and then write backwards, ladies and gentlemen.
Now, this episode was clearly written, like, they came up with the idea of, like, oh, it would be funny to have an episode where Frisket is sick.
Well, okay, here's the thing. I like Frisket and Enzo. They're a good team. They're even a better team in other seasons. I won't get into that, right? But, like, him and Frisket are fucking solid. It's a real shame that they're first, like, oh shit, like, Frisket can hold his own, and he's like an actual character. It's a shame that it's this episode, because it sucks. It's fucking bad.
Yeah.
I think I said that.
People even
like,
step in.
like when we recorded that episode of the podcast. And yeah, it does. Like, I hate this. I never want to watch this goddamn episode or reboot ever again.
Some positives. A positive from you. Go. The boat launcher, maybe?
We get to meet Old Man Pearson.
We get to meet one of the story writers' self-inserts. Like,
I don't think we had met Old Man Pearson prior to this.
right. And he's got an Irish accent. Hooray! Ba-doot-boot-boot-doo-doo-doo. Here's one for
Frisket
me.
having a V8 engine under his nose was kind of a neat visual.
Yeah. And he revs it.
Yeah.
I liked Megabyte like running on all fours and like completely manhandling the tank, like stopping it, digging his like heels in, and then just slamming it around. I was like, holy shit, he is very dangerous. It does a good job of conveying how powerful just he is, with no weapons, no anything, just naked fucking Megabyte, like, is dangerous as shit.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's not good. My
That's
least favorite episode.
Yeah. That's all I
Snidler.
had for positives. So
Yeah, Snidler, positive, nothing.
No. I thought it was funny when Megabyte stepped in the poo at the very
I
end.
thought that was
that
distasteful.
I had to come up with something, guys. Come on.
Okay, Snidler.
It was at that point in the episode where I was finally just like, oh fuck, I'm out. Like,
Luckily, that's at the end. Yeah.
luckily it's at the end. Yeah. That was the episode, like one episode that I was watching where I, for a brief moment, was like, should I really have started this podcast?
How dare you? It is interesting watching them as an adult and going, some of these aren't great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's Christopher and NeoCal's least favorite episode. Snidler, what's yours?
I'm gonna be honest. We mentioned them all. The Tiff,
What's
Billy
your
the
number
Beast,
one?
and wait, hold on, and the 2-part finale.
Sorry, but which is your number one least favorite episode?
This whole thing has got me second guessing all of my answers.
Right. Go
Wait.
ahead.
I remember last week you gave Identity Crisis Part 2 an alphanumeric rating.
I did, and then I watched it again and
Oh.
realized how
I do not like.
Realized how I did not.
I almost put part
The 2-part
2 as my number one most hated.
I did after every.
Oh, is it your number one?
My number one most hated was the part 2 of the finale,
which got an alphanumeric rating from you.
It did. I retract it.
Fake news.
I retract it.
Fake news.
Christopher and I were just
Fake
talking
news.
about how you give every episode an alphanumeric.
What?
I was like, Snidler loves every episode of Reboot.
I do love every episode of me.
Why?
Everything.
So, trust me, I can complain about it. Why is that your least favorite?
It's like we went over the game. Just seemed way too well. I think the game seemed off. The game seemed like it was.
The game sucks and it's random.
Yeah.
And it only has 2 levels. It is a level on a tricycle and the mirror room.
Yes.
What? That doesn't make. Oh, and I suppose the squirt gun at the end. What? The game's 5 minutes long.
And it's supposed to be this big, like, scary thing, and it's pretty inconsequential.
I'm pretty sure it was pretty much only there to start the plot, to drive the plot, if you will, because Dot had to be put in a situation where she had to experience everything. So I think the Funhouse was kind of a non-story.
She didn't even have to face her fears to beat the game. That's the stupid part. She gets to the squirt gun and she does something that doesn't even make sense. She holds the hose and fuck that game. If she had done something like, I need to try my best, like no matter if I'm afraid of failing.
Yeah.
And she ended up like, say, jumping over a pit, but like the pit's not real, right? Like it's an illusion, like something to allude that she's grown as a person and she's not going to let failing, like bring her down. But no, the last level is like a fucking tricycle race with a squirt gun
and a bowling ball that doesn't even hit her.
That's the conclusion of the. And I understand the game isn't the conclusion of her story arc in that.
Yeah.
I like the existential dread of being like, this is inevitable. Like this, her being stuck in the alternate world. All of that stuff is really cool, and like it's weird and cyberpunk, and her head gets shaved, and she's got a fucking barcode tattoo.
Yeah.
All of that is actually really good and very mature for the show. Like that's actually some of my favorite character development. But the episodes are so bad.
Yeah. I will point out a positive with the power of hindsight. I did appreciate all of the, whether they're intentional or not, foreshadowings involving Enzo.
Right. Yeah, that was weird. Yeah. Adult Enzo with like the scruffy facial hair, the scar on his eye.
Yeah.
The vest.
Enzo.
Yeah, the vest. I also really liked the scene with Old Man Fong in the alley.
Yeah.
Just being like a crazy old homeless cook.
Great, yeah. He's like, oh, what? Bob? Yes, Bob lives with me.
What? I will show you.
But like, it's like, all right, I have saved your souls. And in response, a water park. Somebody please explain that to me.
And it's the same water park we just saw.
Yeah,
2
so it's
episodes
like
ago.
literally playing SimCity, and you're just
Yeah.
like placing like a water park every like 4 blocks. Like, do you know what I mean? It's just like, oh, need one over here because crime is up, so I want to make people happy.
And why does indexing all of their PIDs like purify the sector? Like the whole sector is viral. Like sure
No, just the area where there was grass and nothing built.
and yeah. That's another thing.
Yeah.
Is like when all this happens, it's literally just one fucking square of this entire sector that gets like turned green and into an energy park. Like,
So-
it's bad.
I'm changing it. Both
Huh?
parts of episode 11 are my least favorite.
so that's the thing, is that I those episodes until it was brought up last week. And I was like, hold on a second. How did I miss this? How did I miss that? Because this is like the first episode that I... wait, was it?
How does
One of the-
Fong enter the game?
Yeah!
Yeah.
Yeah!
Why
Wait.
does him putting the
So-
reality bender on her head affect episode 1's flashbacks? Because he said
Snidler.
it temporarily destroyed.
Mm,
Snedler,
yes.
are we ruining your childhood for you?
No. No, you are
Okay.
making me a better man.
So we need
I
to
love
try
you for it.
harder.
Well, we've
That's
still
too
got
much.
3 more seasons.
That's too much. Yeah.
So
Uh,
the device distorts space and time, right? It shows her a possible future that might exist if she doesn't believe in herself.
You
Because
just gotta believe.
You just gotta believe. Because it distorts space and time, it briefly distorts her past self. I
Yeah.
don't know, some Doctor Who bullshit. Anyways,
Yeah. Paradox, all that noise.
what are we on now? Our favorites?
I think
Yeah,
so. Yeah.
I kind of lost where we even are.
I've
Cal,
been
your
tracking it,
favorite.
don't worry. My favorite is episode 11, Talent Night.
That's mine too.
That is also my favorite. Woo!
Hey!
Hooray!
Dun, 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 dun.
Unanimous. I think this is the first one, other than the Crimson Binome, where more than one of us have agreed, and it's all 3 of
Huh.
us.
Well, let me
No, me and Cal, you and
Sorry,
I
we
both
hate.
had. We both hate In the Belly of the
That's
Beast
right.
equally.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah. Snidler and I both like Crimson Binome equally, but Christopher and I are great hatred of In the Belly of the Beast is
Yeah.
at the top. Talent Night is just fuck. I don't know why it's so good. Like on paper, it shouldn't be any better than any of the other episodes, but it just is.
There's a lot of really fun references where I don't think the story in this episode really matters because this is just purely entertainment.
No, and there's like the episode doesn't even have like much of a plot to it.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, they're assembling, they're trying to put together a talent show for Enzo's birthday, and Bob's trying to keep Enzo busy. Like, there's not much there, but there is just such. This is like there is such a, like I don't even know how to explain it, but there's like. There's a level of joy to this episode that I can't really put into words.
Yeah.
It was just as good, if not better, than when I watched it as a kid. Know what? It's better. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like even
Oh.
before we got to this point in the podcast, like I still watched Talent Night a couple of times. Because I'm like, I just love this episode so much. It's a delight. I've seen this episode literally, like, probably like 100 times in my life.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. Actually,
Wow.
that's probably close with me too.
Well, I think I mentioned on that episode when I was a kid, I used to have a VHS tape of just that episode. It was like
I
a
do.
standalone release of just that episode. So I used to watch the shit out of it when I was a kid.
Huh. But
Yeah.
well, I would actually argue that it does have a plot and that it is very well written. It cuts, like for instance, the true driving parts of the plot are the organization of the show and Bob distracting Enzo. The
Yeah.
conflict is getting the show done on time, but you could also say the additional conflict is Enzo possibly ruining his surprise. And the payoff is that even though he does end up going there like early and kind of seeing behind the stage, by the time he figures out what's going on, boom, it and like Dot fixes it and it launches into this like celebration thing, and it kind of montages the different things that he's like viewing, and we get surprised too. For example, that's what Dot's dress was when she was choosing between blue and red, right?
Yep.
The director chairs that Dot and Emma are in, that banter back and forth is like actually like really good writing. But like after like Enzo's birthday surprise actually starts, it's flawless. Like it is so it's so entertaining. Even to the point when you're like, who was it that got like flattened? Elvis?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're like, oh, okay, like Elvis is here. And then when Megabyte shows up, it's so fucking like metal. It like he comes out in a fucking coffin, and it just it's expected him to bite the head off of a bat. It's great.
It is, yeah.
It was an awesome sequence, that one.
Yeah, it's a great paced episode overall as well.
Pacing
I guess maybe
is important. Yeah.
Yeah, I guess maybe like it's a very plot driven episode, but I guess what I mean is like this like the plot has a scale to it that's a lot smaller.
Oh, it doesn't move.
Than you would expect for a show like this. Like, and
agreed.
The stakes aren't anywhere near as high as they usually are.
Well, there's a red herring conflict too. Megabyte trying to figure out what's going on.
Yeah.
So it's for this to be followed up by the Funhouse, and the episode's not even being about the fucking Funhouse. Again, really good parts. Like Dot facing her like inner doubts, like dealing with straight up, it's like an allegory for like depression at times, right?
Yeah.
But like when that episode is preceded by this Talent Night, this kind of feels like the unofficial season finale.
I
feel like that.
I was just gonna say that this would have actually made a better season finale, in my opinion.
Yeah.
When I was a kid, I thought this was the season finale.
Oh shit!
Making a two-parter the
and now you're watching. Now you're watching it now, and you're like, God damn it! Childhood ruined.
Right? Making a two-parter for the season finale is no bueno. That's not good thinking on their part. It's not, because like I said, if it's an episodic show for kids, not only is the Funhouse like hard to take in, making it two-parter when you might only catch one part is a weird way to end the season. But whereas Talent Night, that's a phenomenal way to end the season, because it kind of like, I feel like that captures why we fucking liked Reboot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's my summary. Talent Night is why we like Reboot.
Yep.
You know, I think that's probably the perfect bow to put on that. I don't know what I can possibly add to that would be a better summary than Talent Night is why we like Reboot.
Yeah, that's a good out for us.
You heard it here, folks. You heard it here first, folks.
You heard it here first, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, don't let anyone else tell you otherwise. No. Even if you've already watched Reboot and said the same thing.
Don't believe everything you read in the funny papers.
Yeah.
See? So that has been season 1 of Reboot. We did it, guys.
We did.
Blow your weird little kazoo thingies. I don't have one.
I don't have one either. I wish I did.
Well, blow me down.
That as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, we actually, I don't know. I feel like we actually accomplished a thing here.
We did.
We set out to record a podcast, and we did it. And we're gonna keep doing it. But on a more personal note, this has been the year to end all years.
Yeah.
But it's also the year where I finally did a thing that I've talked about doing for probably like 7 or 8 years now, and that's start a podcast. And not only that, but I started 2 podcasts. And
awfully bold of you, good sir.
When I look back at 2020, I'm going to look back at this year as the year that I finally did the thing that I always wanted to. And not only that, but I also got to do that with you fine gentlemen.
Yeah, thanks for anyone listening. Like, Christopher is the what's the word? Showrunner? Frontrunner? Frontman. Hype man? Editor? Producer, there we go. Of Alphanumeric. I have the prestige title of coming up with the title of it and nothing more. But it's been like, I wouldn't have done this if you didn't commit to it. And yeah, thanks for doing that, man.
Yeah.
Thanks for inviting me.
And we have committed. We've been, me and Cal have been recording. We recorded our first podcast on July 31st of this year. And we have done at least one podcast every single weekend since. And for the listeners, we are recording this right now on December 18th. So it's dedication. And Aiden, I know you've had to miss a couple episodes, but you've also been here, and you've committed, and means a lot.
Well, it's been an absolute pleasure. I'm glad. First go. I'll be there for all of them next season, I swear.
Well,
And
there's
so-
3 of us, so if one of us has a reason to not be there, then the other 2 can save it.
Yeah, the show must go on. So this is Christmas and New Year's are coming up, so this is going to be the last podcast that we record for 2020. So I just wanted to kind of close it out with a real heartfelt message and just say I appreciate, sincerely, I appreciate you guys doing this with me.
Yeah, it's been fun.
It's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you for including me.
Well, I'm gonna get real for a second here.
Mm.
I usually am the one that the people call the funny dumb one, but and by people I mean me. But I'm not really working through the COVID stuff, and I've been speaking of Funhouse episodes and Medusa Bug and Existential Dread. Having this podcast kind of saved me from 2020.
Yeah.
It gave me, like, one, responsibility, which I think is actually important for prolonged happiness, whether it's a job, family, a hobby, right?
Yeah.
And 2, like, something to socialize with. I don't know about you two and how much you interact with others, Even though I have been working at a hotel for the last decade, I think doing this podcast, as well as the other one Christopher and I do, Too Much Energon, the Beast Wars one,
Yeah.
Mhm.
I think I'm better at communicating. Like I'm better at like talking to like my partner. I don't interrupt people as much. I think I'm a little wittier. Like I come up with things like on the fly much better. And it's actually done me a lot of good.
I think it's definitely also, for me, it's made me a lot more mindful of conversation cues as well, even in just day-to-day life. And I think this is some of you, Cal, rubbing off on me, because as I've made no secret, I genuinely think you're one of the funniest people I've ever known.
Oh, thank you.
Doing these shows for the past few months has like made me a lot quippier in my day-to-day life.
I definitely think so. It's so same. Yeah, I definitely feel that too.
And if we don't have like a massive listener base or anything like that, but we do have listeners. Because I see all the data and I see where all of you are, and most of you are in the US, so shout out to you. And I want to thank everyone who is listening to this show, and anyone who might listen to this show and discover it down the road. Thanks for the support. Also, big thank you to our number one fan, Alucard, whose name is also Chris. Big thanks to you, man. You've been a big cheerleader for this show, and we really appreciate it. He is good
on the podcast.
Yeah, he's a cool guy. I had a lot of fun doing that episode with him, and would love to have him back again in the future.
Absolutely.
So,
maybe season 2 stuff.
Maybe.
Yeah, but I guess 2021 is going to be our season 2.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, there's a deeper like joke I can make there, but I can't think of it. Let 2021 be the season 2 of your life, everyone.
These are the days of our lives.
Like sand through the hourglass.
I
we
had
did
one,
this last time. All we are is dust in the wind, dude.
Just dust.
Wind.
I had one more point that I wanted to bring up too. I should have written this down.
Yeah, how dare you?
I know.
Yes, what is the point?
What is the point of any of this?
Talk about cartoons?
No, just once again, just thanks to you guys for doing this with me, and thanks to the listeners, and I hope we continue on with this in 2021, continue on with Reboot, and Cal, me and you with Too Much Energon, and after all that's done, continue on with other future podcasts, because this is
these are the days of our lives.
I've really, this is a thing that I really like doing, and I really like doing it with you guys, and it's a thing I'd like to keep doing. So
yeah, it's fulfilling.
Not even just the actual like recording part, but I also get a lot on a creative level. I get a lot out of the editing process and the publishing, and like making like wacky show art and cutting together weird little musical intros, and it brings me a lot of joy.
Good.
So,
yeah.
While
while we're here, Snidler, actually.
Hmm.
We've never really said, hey, do you have any projects or podcasts or anything that you want to plug? And we briefly mentioned it, but let's actually like talk about that like now. Like,
Yeah,
do
that's
you
a
have
good
another
idea.
podcast?
Yeah, I have one going. It's been on hold for a couple of weeks now because of restrictions.
Right.
But with the whole thing of COVID going on, no opportunity to do much live music, and it's been kind of killing the music scene here in Victoria and the Lower Mainland. So and everywhere else, I'd imagine.
Yeah.
So I started doing a show called Mobile Sessions, where every week I would go out and cruise the town while a new artist every week would do a set in my car acoustically. So yeah, there's a YouTube channel up, Oldsmobile Sessions. There's also a podcast version where if you don't have time to watch, you can just turn it on. It's just the audio, really, and it gives musicians, because we're all going nuts. So we want to do stuff. We want to play. We want to do what we're born to do, and so yeah, kind of just this thing that I started doing for the musical community, and I'm looking forward to 2021 when hopefully if we can get our act together, we can start doing stuff outside again with people.
Yeah,
Yeah.
live music is one
Especially
of those.
that.
Yeah,
Live music is one of those fields that's been kind of hit the hardest with the whole COVID thing.
yeah.
Well, if you're kind of struggling doing that before, then the 2020 kind of knocked you on your ass for that, because it
Right.
hasn't really made that an option.
No,
But Oldsmobile Sessions.
Oldsmobile Sessions, because I drive around in Oldsmobile Cutlass.
Oh,
And,
the YouTube has video.
Yep. Yeah.
Oh, there you go.
It was originally and then people started liking it and really getting into it and asking if they could be on it, and so I started doing like pre-recorded episodes because it really started taking off, and so there's 10 up right now. It went through a couple months doing it every week
right.
straight. And
Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, I watched a couple of those early Facebook Live Oldsmobile sessions. They're pretty good, so go check those out on YouTube. How can they find them on YouTube, Aiden?
Just search Oldsmobile Sessions, or on Facebook you can look up Oldsmobile Sessions, the page where I have posted all of the videos and links to the podcast as well, which is also available on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and Anchor as well.
Well, there you go.
Yeah.
Wherever
All
you're
over the
listening,
place.
wherever you're listening to this, you can also listen to Oldsmobile Sessions, and we highly recommend that you do.
It's a lot of fun. Yeah.
All right.
All right.
Anyone else have any projects that we want people to know about? I mean, I'm almost done the box of mango oranges.
That's good.
It's more of a personal thing.
The listeners here are listening to my projects, so I don't have anything else to really plug other than to say best way to support this show is to, if you're listening to this on Apple Podcasts or iTunes, be sure to give us a 5-star rating because it helps us out with discoverability. Also, if you like this show, tell your friends. If you don't like this show, tell your enemies. Either way, tell people about this show.
Either way, we get listeners.
Check out our website, alphanumericpodcast.ca, where you can listen to every episode of this show through a web browser. You can also find social media links. and all of that other fun stuff. Also, me and Cal do another podcast called Too Much Energon, a Beast Wars podcast. It's formatted very similarly to this, but me and Cal talk about every episode of Beast Wars. It's our original podcast, so this is kind of in a way, kind of a spin-off of it.
We talk about it's the same company. It's Mainframe Entertainment.
Mainframe Entertainment.
Yeah.
It's my goal one day to cover what I consider to be the holy trifecta of Mainframe Entertainment 90s shows.
Oh, jeez.
uh,
Aiden, do you know what the Mainframe Entertainment did after Beast Wars?
Who, me?
Yeah.
Sorry, I didn't hear that. No. No, I do not.
they did another show called Shadow Raiders, based on the War Planets toy line,
Oh, I forgot about Shadow Raiders.
which I have actually watched as an adult. Gotta say, I think it's probably their best written show.
What?
No,
Wow,
it's surprisingly good.
I'm gonna have to check that out.
Yeah, or maybe when we're done these, we can check that out and talk about it. If it's
Yeah.
worth talking about.
It's definitely worth talking about.
Oh, well, there we go.
And I've never seen season 2. It only lasted 2 seasons. I've only ever seen the first season. So
Oh shit! So we'd be like watching it for the first time for the show.
Yes, we would.
That would be kind of cool.
Wow.
It would be like a Christmas miracle.
Yeah. And on that note, I think it's time for us to say good day and good year.
Yeah. On that note, Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, Happy Yule. Thanks for listening, and until next year, Happy Holidays.
Bye.
Merry Christmas.